And joining me now to discuss this further is Anand Menon. He's director of the think tank The UK in a Changing Europe, which describes itself as providing independent research on Brexit and its impact. Anand, good to have you with us today. And I guess now the big question is, will the markets believe that the government can balance its books?
Yeah, I think that's one of the questions, and we'll have to wait and see. There's no doubt that what the government has done by sacking the senior civil servant, by not getting the OBR to give a report, has helped spook the markets above and beyond the actual figures, which, as the IFS show us today, are dire. The other issue, of course, is whether whatever course of action the government decides to take will be acceptable to its own MPs, let alone the opposition. Because, of course, you're talking about a governing party that is massively divided on some of these basic economic choices.
Yeah, I mean, something I raised a second ago, I don't know if you heard it, with Ed Davey, because a lot of the reversals that we've seen so far have been absolutely pushed from within the Conservatives' own ranks. So do you think we're going to see more of that, given that, you know, a lot of these MPs in various constituencies up and down the UK will be looking at their inboxes, constituents talking about the cost of living crisis, and they'll be thinking about their chances come the next election?
Absolutely. I think, you know, the current economic climate, in a sense, mitigates against the kinds of cuts the IFS is speculating might be necessary. Above and beyond that, I think the more profound question is that, you know, to simplify dramatically, you have different kinds of Conservative MP. The sort of Conservative MP you might find in one of those so-called red wall seats has probably got a different economic wish list to your traditional Shire Conservative, and sort of reconciling those different groups that have different economic interests is going to be pretty difficult.
I mean, the Treasury's been arguing that its tax cuts and reforms will deliver sustainable funding for public services through the growth they say this will generate. But given the cost of living crisis, is it sustainable for this government right now to even begin to think about taking that course of action, given the crises that so many people are in?
Well, I suppose that depends ultimately on whether the Chancellor can put forward a compelling case on the 31st of October or not. I mean, one of the interesting things about the IFS report is they caution against, for instance, cutting investment, because if you do that, it might help you reduce debt, but it's going to reduce growth. So there are a whole number of very, very difficult trade-offs that the government is going to face, and it's not clear that they're going to be successful in making them, to be honest, at the moment. I mean, what the IFS report does underline is they face a very, very tricky economic situation at the moment.
And just to take a step back, Anand, that statement from the Bank of England earlier talking about a material risk to the UK financial markets. How unusual is it to hear a description like that?
It is unusual, and it's the sort of thing that makes people sort of reach for their reports back from 2008 and the financial crisis. There is a degree of volatility. There is a degree of instability. I think the bank is acting quickly to try and calm the markets. But the second part of that equation is to regain credibility in our government and the decisions it takes.
OK, Anand Menon, Director of the UK in a Changing Europe think tank. Thank you very much.
Thank you.